House Bill HCR 2016. Short title, Initiative Supermajority Vote Requirement. This bill cleared the House and it is going to be heard in the Senate Government Committee on Tuesday. The way it cleared the House was exactly 31 to 29, right along party lines. It was introduced by Representative Dunn, and what it does, initially, when this bill was introduced, it would have increased the vote required to pass an initiative from a simple majority to a supermajority of 60%. But it has since been amended to, instead of requiring a supermajority of 60, it's only 55%. To me, that's a bad move, which should be at least 60, possibly 66 or two-thirds. And as I understood it initially, it would apply only to initiatives that would increase taxes, but apparently it applies to all initiatives. But regardless of the change, we I'm in agreement that still it should be a yes vote on this. Again, Republicans are in favor of it, Democrats are against it. Uh, I'm sure that there has to be some initiatives that go in there that the Democrats would not want, and they would want to limit it somehow. They would want to have a supermajority regardless of what the subject is. So I don't know why the Democrats keep on voting against something like this.
Maybe one day we can have a guest Democrat on here to tell us.
Perhaps we can have because I don't understand all of these bills that benefit the Democrats as much as benefit the Republicans. They keep on voting no on it.
And I'm gonna tell you the same thing I told you on the prior bill, and that is, this is an amendment to the Constitution. Read it carefully. I agree that, under the prior provisions, it only required 50% plus one vote. This one at least requires 55%, and I suspect that Mr. Dunn, in order to get this passed, had to reduce it off of the 60% down to the 55 so that he could get all of the Republicans voting for him. And in my humble opinion, 60% is an absolute minimum, and you should have more when you're going to amend the Constitution. If it is just a law that is proposed by the public, then that's great, 55%, 60%, I suppose, because it can then be overturned in any number of ways. But in this case, when you're talking about an amendment to the Constitution, it becomes very, very, very dangerous. And understand, this also applies not only to initiatives, but it applies to referendums.
Okay, this one applies to both.
It applies to both.
Okay, well, that's a good thing. Again, we're dealing with, and this is a good time to bring this up. We haven't brought it up lately, but it's something that we need to remind voters all the time, and that is that we are in a situation where we have a 31 to 29 split in the House of Representatives, and we have a 16 to 14 split in the Senate. What that means is that it's so close that every bill that comes through has to please everyone. And when you have something that has to please everyone, you're not going to get what you really should have. You get what you can. And this is a typical example. Not only did we not get in the bill the 66% that would have been much better, it initially was only 60, and even that has to be reduced to 55 to satisfy those people who would have otherwise opposed the bill. So we are in a bad situation, between a rock and a hard place. So that's why, normally I would say this bill is worthless because it doesn't give us enough of what we want, and it should be voted down. But I'm not saying that. I'm saying, yes, we should pass this bill, and the voters should approve it once it goes to the voters, because even though it's not what we want, at least it gets us a tiny little bit closer to what we would want. So
true.
with that, I humbly request that people who contact legislators contact the Senate Government Committee members and request a yes vote on this bill.